Welcome to the Deep Dive from the All Sorts podcast. We're the place where we really try to boil down complex topics into the key insights, just for you.
Yeah, we sift through a lot so you don't have to.
Exactly. And today, we're jumping headfirst into something maybe underestimated, collaborative writing.
Writing together.
Think about it, that big presentation, a research paper you read, maybe even the strategy doc at work. Chances are it wasn't just one person, right?
Not usually, no. It's often a team effort happening all around us, probably more than we even realize.
Right. So for this deep dive, we've gathered some really interesting sources.
We have. We're looking at academic work on, what makes it work, what the challenges are.
And some future-gazing stuff, too, about how it's changing.
Yeah, and even a direct comparison of different tools people use, the tech side of things.
Okay, so the mission today is pretty clear. Give you a solid handle on collaborative writing. Whether you do it all the time or maybe avoid it.
Yeah. Because we know the idea of multiple people on one document, it can sound like chaos, juggling edits, different styles.
Total nightmare fuel sometimes.
It could feel that way, like herding cats, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here for, to kind of untangle it.
Good. We'll break down the basics, offer some practical stuff you can actually use.
Absolutely. Practical insights.
Okay, let's start unpacking. When we say collaborative writing, what are we really talking about? Like fundamentally?
Fundamentally, it's two or more people deliberately working together to produce one single text.
Okay, deliberate is key.
Yes. It's not just, splitting up work and pasting it together. It's about interacting, making shared decisions all the way through, planning, writing, revising, the whole deal.
Aiming for one unified piece in the end?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a conversation that ends up on paper, ideally with everyone's input shaping the final message.
So it's not always just one person holding the pen, maybe taking ideas from others.
Well, that model exists, sometimes called single author or collegial, but real collaborative writing often tries for more shared ownership.
More give and take.
Yeah. Ideally, everyone has some say in shaping it. Now, reality check contributions might differ based on expertise or roles.
Sure.
But the core idea is that shared creation.
It feels like this isn't a brand new concept. Does looking back help at all? Any history here?
Oh, definitely. You can trace the roots back to early 20th century progressive education. Thinkers like John Dewey, big on learning through social interaction.
Right, learning by doing together.
Exactly. And then it really picked up steam in writing studies specifically around the 1980s. People started seeing writing less as a solo act and more as, a social thing, shaped by how we interact.
Interesting context. So fast forward to now, how do teams actually do it? Are there different, standard ways, models?
Yeah, there's several common models people talk about. We mentioned the single author one.
Yeah.
Then there's sequential. You write your bit, pass it on, the next person adds or edits, and so on, like an assembly line, kind of.
Okay, I can picture that.
Horizontal or parallel is another. You slice up the project introduction, methods, conclusion, whatever, and different people or subgroups tackle each section. Then someone compiles it.
Good for big projects, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps things manageable. Then there's stratified division.
Yeah, stratified.
Yeah, roles based on skills. Maybe you've got the research guru, the wordsmith, the eagle-eyed editor. Everyone focuses on their strength. I think grant proposals, maybe.
Makes sense. Play to strengths.
And finally, reactive or reciprocal. This is more dynamic. The group works on it together, maybe in real time, maybe passing it back and forth quickly, constantly tweaking, commenting.
More fluid.
Very fluid. But regardless of the model, you generally see the same stages. Planning, research, outlining, drafting, revising, editing, proofing.
And this can all happen face-to-face or increasingly online, right?
Absolutely. Digitally mediated collaboration is huge now.
Okay, so we get the what and the how, but why? Why bother with all this potential complexity? What are the real advantages?
Oh, there are some big ones. First off, simple practicality. Sometimes the job is just too big for one person. Sharing the load.
Okay, basic division of labor.
But beyond that, and this is crucial, it's about bringing different viewpoints together.
Diversity of thought.
Exactly. If everyone thinks the same way, you get the same ideas. Collaboration forces you often to see things differently. Consider angles you wouldn't have alone. It can lead to much richer, more thought-through results.
It can spark new ideas, maybe?
Totally. Genuine creativity can come out of that friction and combination of perspectives.
That makes a lot of sense. More brains, more angles. Any other benefits?
Efficiency can be a big one. If you assign tasks well, based on strengths.
Right, the stratified model idea again.
Yeah. And also, just the process itself can make everyone a better writer. You see how others approach things, you have to articulate your ideas clearly.
You learn from each other's styles.
You do. And here's something interesting from the research. It's often way easier to spot flaws or weaknesses in someone else's writing than your own.
Oh, definitely. Easier to be critical of others.
Right. So that built-in peer review is valuable. It can even boost your confidence in communicating your ideas when you see them hold up or get refined by the group.
Okay, those are strong arguments for it. But let's be real, it's not always smooth sailing.
Yeah.
What are the common headaches? The challenges?
You're right, it's definitely not always easy. Simple logistics like just finding time when everyone can meet, that can be surprisingly tough.
Tell me about it. Scheduling nightmares.
Exactly. And then you have personal preferences. How I like to write versus how you like to write, how we organize things, that can cause friction.
And the fear factor, having your precious words critiqued.
Oh, yeah. That vulnerability is real. Nobody loves criticism, even if it's constructive.
Totally relatable. What about in more formal settings? Workplaces? Academia?
In professional teams, especially when you're mixed disciplines, miscommunication is a huge one.
Different jargon.
Different jargon, different assumptions, different ways of even understanding the same word. The sources mentioned, like a nurse and a lawyer working together. They might use similar terms, but mean very different things because of their training.
That's a really sharp point. You need a shared language or at least awareness. What about for students when they have to do group writing projects?
Ah, the student experience. Yeah, lots of potential pitfalls there. Unequal contribution is the classic, the slacker problem.
The one person who does everything and the others who coast.
Exactly. And instructors worry about that, obviously.
Yeah.
That weaker students might just hide behind stronger ones.
And past bad experiences can poison the well for next time.
Definitely. Students often mention dealing with, pushy people or people who just don't care, different levels of commitment.
Yeah.
And always feeling like there wasn't enough time.
The usual group work complaints.
Pretty much. Key themes are often resistance to even doing it, lack of experience in how to collaborate well, friction between personalities, and real anxiety about whether the grading will be fair.
Okay, so we know the potential problems. Let's pivot to solutions. What strategies actually work to make collaborative writing better? Especially thinking about school settings, but maybe these apply more broadly.
Absolutely. Many do. First, tackling that resistance. It really helps if the project itself feels worthwhile. Interesting, well-designed, not just busy work.
Make it meaningful.
Right. And feasible. Break it down into clear stages with deadlines. Don't just dump a massive project on them.
Manageable chunks.
Exactly. And maybe introduce group projects early in the term so it becomes the norm, not a surprise ordeal later.
Set the expectation.
Yeah. And be super clear about the grading. Explain how the group product will be assessed, emphasizing that integrated final piece.
Transparency is key.
Totally. Provide enough time, including some class time, if possible, for planning or checking in, but also manage expectations about out-of-class work. And finally, actively sell the benefits. Remind them they're learning valuable group skills, sharing knowledge, building accountability. Make the why clear.
Those sound like solid foundations, mostly for educators, but I can see the workplace parallels. What if the issue is just inexperience? People literally don't know how to collaborate effectively.
That needs direct intervention. Training and practice. Think of it like learning a motor skill. You need instruction and repetition.
You have to teach collaboration itself.
Pretty much. Simple things like encouraging genuine praise early on can help build trust. Maybe even provide some example phrases for constructive feedback.
Little prompts.
Yeah. Emphasize that this is a learnable skill. Give them practice, maybe on smaller tasks first, or analyzing examples together under supervision. Offer tips for leading a group. Even talking a bit about basic group psychology can help.
Give them tools for the interpersonal side, too.
Exactly. And definitely push groups to create explicit written plans, goals, timelines, who's doing what.
Get it down on paper.
Yes. Help them define their audience, main message, style, outline. Getting agreement in writing early surfaces disagreements before they become huge problems.
Be ready to revisit that plan as things evolve.
For sure. Plans need to be flexible.
You mentioned peer feedback being easier sometimes. How do we make sure that feedback is actually helpful, not just looks good?
Structure helps. Facilitate feedback regularly, not just at the end. Use simple frameworks like praise, describe, question, suggest. It guides people beyond vague comments.
Gives them categories.
Right. Encourage active engagement, taking notes on each other's drafts, discussing points, not just passively reading.
Okay, what about the inevitable works? The friction, the disagreements?
First step is normalization. Help people see that problems are normal, even unavoidable in group work.
It's not a sign of failure if things get tense.
Exactly. And sometimes there isn't a perfect solution, but you can find ways to cope. Encourage people to try and address friction objectively, with some compassion. Get issues out in the open respectfully.
Don't let things fester.
Please don't let things fester.
And that last big hurdle, especially for students' fairness in grading, how do you tackle that sensitive issue?
It's tough. You have to acknowledge the tension between rewarding cooperation and assessing individual work.
It's a balancing act.
It really is. Having an open discussion helps. Let students share past experiences, good and bad, and their fears about grading.
Validate their concerns.
Yes. Put it in the context of why collaboration is valued, despite the challenges. Some instructors experiment with grading schemes, maybe peer evaluations count for a small part, or maybe there's some individual component alongside the group grade.
Or like dropping the lowest grade.
That's another strategy, some use, yeah. It can lower the perceived risk if one group project doesn't go perfectly. There's no single magic bullet, but open communication is vital.
Seems like thoughtful setup and clear communication are threads running through all these solutions. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The modern workplace. How does collaborative writing look there, especially with so many teams being remote or hybrid now?
Yeah, the workplace is, well, it's changed massively, hasn't it? Virtual teams are everywhere. Technology isn't just helpful anymore. It's basically essential for collaborating across distance and time zones.
And AI is creeping in too, right? Affecting writing work.
Oh, absolutely. AI offers potential efficiency gains, automating certain tasks, helping with drafts. But it also means people need new skills, new workflows. It's a big shift happening right now.
So for these remote and hybrid teams, how does the actual process of writing together change?
There's a huge emphasis on asynchronous collaboration.
Asynchronous meaning?
Meaning people work on their own schedules, not necessarily needing to be online at the same exact time, using shared docs with comments, project platforms, email, updating each other without needing live meetings for everything.
Like passing the baton digitally.
Kinda, yeah. And things like asynchronous video messages are becoming popular too. You get more nuance than text, but still have that flexibility.
So it allows more flexibility, potentially helps productivity if you're not constantly in meeting.
That's the idea. Asynchronous tools, used well, combined with synchronous stuff like video calls when needed. It can boost productivity, make it easier to work across time zones, improve communication quality sometimes, help share knowledge better.
More inclusive too, maybe. People contribute when it works best for them.
Eventually, yes. The future seems very tied to this global, tech-enabled collaboration. But there's a flip side.
Which is?
Building team culture.
Yeah.
Those personal connections. That's harder when people aren't physically together. It requires really conscious effort around communication and inclusion.
Yeah, you lose those water cooler moments.
You do. You have to intentionally create opportunities for connection.
Okay, so technology is clearly vital. That brings us nicely to the sources that actually compare different tools. What did that study find?
The Word versus Wiki one.
Right, that was fascinating. They had students use either Microsoft Word with track changes, communicating via email, or a wiki platform for a collaborative report.
And you'd think the wiki, designed for collaboration, would win, right? That would be the logical assumption.
Yeah.
But no, that's not what happened.
Really? What did they find then?
Surprisingly, the students actually rated the Word and email combo as more useful and easier to use for that task.
Wow. Easier than the tool literally built for group work.
Yep. And interestingly, they didn't perceive one method as requiring more effort than the other, just that word mail felt more useful and easier.
Okay, that is counterintuitive. Why? What were the researchers' guesses?
They had a few ideas. A big one is probably just familiarity. Students already have this deeply ingrained way of thinking about writing and editing using word processors.
It's what they know, their mental model.
Exactly. Also, the specific wiki used back then might not have had editing features as sophisticated as Word's track changes. Formatting, fine-tuning, maybe it was clunkier.
So the tech itself might have been a factor.
Could be. And just the general comfort level with Word and email. Learning a whole new wiki system, even a simple one, adds cognitive load. Maybe the change tracking in that particular wiki wasn't as intuitive.
So it really boiled down to familiarity and maybe the specific usability of that wiki version.
Seems likely. The researchers did point out, fairly, that wiki tech has improved a lot since then. Modern wikis might fare much better today,
Sure, technology evolves.
but the core lesson holds, I think. The best tool isn't always the most obvious one. It depends so much on who's using it, what they're used to, the specific task, and how user-friendly that particular software actually is.
That's a really crucial takeaway. Don't just assume the fanciest tool is the right fit. Okay, this has been incredibly insightful, a real deep dive. To wrap things up, what are the absolute key messages you want listeners to walk away with?
I think fundamentally that collaborative writing is, yes, complex, but also really powerful. There are different ways to do it, different tools to use.
It has big benefits, but also real hurdles.
Exactly. Benefits like diverse perspectives, better quality, but challenges around logistics, communication, fairness. And maybe the most surprising bit is how much the tool choice matters and how familiarity often trumps purpose-built features.
Understanding all that can make the whole process less daunting, more effective.
Hopefully, yes. More awareness, better outcomes.
Absolutely. And for everyone listening, we really encourage you. Think about your own experiences writing with others. What's worked? What hasn't? Why?
Yeah, reflect on that. And maybe consider how some of the ideas we talked about today could help you in your next group project, whether that's at school, at work, or even just, planning something with friends.
As the final keystrokes echo on this deep dive into the shared world of collaborative creation, we extend an invitation to you, our fellow seekers of knowledge, to become an integral part of the ongoing conversation here at the All Sorts podcast.
Yeah, if anything today sparked an idea, or maybe shed light on a struggle you've had, or just, felt familiar, we'd love it if you'd show your support. It really helps us keep doing this.
It does. So navigate your way over to the vibrant landscape of YouTube, find the All Sorts podcast, and hit subscribe. Join this community that really champions learning together.
And let your appreciation flow. Like this deep dive, if you found it useful, share it with others who might get something out of it. Help us spread these ideas.
But don't stop here. Our archives, the All Sorts podcast archives, they hold so many past journeys, loads of other deep dives into really fascinating topics.
Definitely check those out. Keep feeding that curiosity. There are some real gems back there.
And if you like your insights more bite-sized, follow us across the digital currents X, Instagram, Threads. We share snippets, connect with you there.
Your engagement, honestly, it's the fuel for the All Sorts podcast. It lets us keep digging deep and bringing you this curated knowledge. So truly, thank you for being part of this adventure with us.
And to leave you with something to chew on. As our world gets more connected and AI gets more involved in creating content, how will our ways of writing together change? What new tools, what new methods might pop up to shape the stories and information we build collectively down the road?